Henry Lucas had always been a respected name in the bustling city of Lagos. People knew him not just for his success in the business world, but more importantly for his generous heart. Whenever there was a fundraiser for an orphanage or a charity event in support of underprivileged communities, Henry was the first to sign a check. He contributed generously to building new schools and frequently attended ceremonies where he handed over keys for completed projects. Everyone talked about how he supported orphanages by donating large sums of money to ensure the children had proper meals, clothing, and an education. His philanthropic spirit never wavered, and at community gatherings, he was often introduced as an example of how wealth could be used for good. His rise in the business sector had been impressive. At just 38 years old, Henry owned a large real estate firm and was involved in several other lucrative ventures. He employed hundreds of people, offering jobs that provided steady incomes for families throughout the city. Despite his status, Henry was known for a warm smile and a genuine humility that made people feel at ease around him. It was no exaggeration to say that the name Henry Lucas evoked respect and admiration in the hearts of many Lagosians. Henry was not just fortunate in business. His personal life also radiated joy and success. He was married to Olivia, a woman of grace and intelligence. Olivia managed her own consultancy firm, focused on fashion and interior design. Though she juggled multiple responsibilities, Olivia never neglected her role as a loving mother to their two children, Ethan and Lily. Ethan was 10 years old, a bright and curious boy who loved reading adventure novels and could spend hours playing in the backyard, conjuring up imaginary worlds. Lily, who was 8, was equally gifted, showing early signs of artistic talent through her sketches and paintings, which lined the walls of their home. Family dinners at the Lucas household were usually a lively affair. Every evening, Henry made it a point to come home early at least 3 times a week so that they could all have dinner together. The dining room was a spacious, tastefully decorated area with a long polished table that could seat up to 10 people. However, the family preferred to sit close, near one end of the table, so they could talk more easily. Olivia would often ask Ethan and Lily about their day at school. Olivia, smiling at her children, "So, who wants to share first?" "Ethan, how was math class today?" Ethan, enthusiastic, "We learned about fractions. It was actually fun. My teacher showed us how to divide a cake into equal parts in a story problem." Lily, giggling, "I wish it was a real cake so we could eat it. In my class, I drew pictures for an art project. The theme was my family. I drew all of us under a big tree." Henry, grinning and ruffling Lily's hair, "I'm sure it's a masterpiece. Next time, I'd love to see it before you hang it up." Olivia would laugh softly, enjoying the warmth of such moments. Their conversation would continue, peppered with jokes and stories. Those evenings felt like glimpses of what a perfect, harmonious family looked like, full of understanding and love. People around them saw it, and it was often said in social circles that Henry and Olivia were the ideal power couple, successful, kind-hearted, and genuine. Late one night, after Henry had stayed behind at his office to finalize some contracts, he exited the building and walked toward his car. The street was quiet, illuminated by the orange glow of streetlights. He had stayed longer than usual, ensuring all the paperwork for a new philanthropic housing project was in order. Just as he was about to open the car door, he heard a soft voice calling out. "Emily," voice trembling, "excuse me, Mr. Lucas." Henry turned around to see a young woman in her early 20s, dressed in clothes that looked worn out. She appeared nervous, her eyes darting from side to side, as though she was still unsure whether she had the courage to speak up. She had been waiting in the shadows, rehearsing her words and building up the nerve to approach the man whose philanthropic reputation she had heard so much about. Henry, concerned, "Yes, I'm Henry Lucas. Is there something I can help you with?" Emily, clasping her hands together, "I am sorry to bother you. My name is Emily. I've been looking for a job, but I haven't been successful. Everyone wants experience, and I don't have enough. I'm not in school. I left because I had to support my mother. But now, she's very sick and I have no money for her treatment. I've heard stories about your kindness, and I thought, Maybe, just maybe, you could help me somehow." Henry looked at her solemnly. He was, by nature, cautious in business, but he also had a soft spot for those in genuine need. He recalled the many times he'd read or heard stories of desperation on the news, and how people in dire situations often couldn't find anyone willing to give them a second chance. He pondered for a moment before speaking. "Henry, gently, Emily, I understand times can be extremely tough. Listen, I might have a position for you. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. My household staff could use another set of hands. It would be as a cleaner. You'd help maintain the mansion, keep the rooms neat, and possibly assist in the kitchen from time to time. I can't guarantee anything long-term if you don't want it, but if you do well, we can discuss a permanent position. How does that sound?" Emily's eyes widened in relief, her shoulders visibly relaxing as though a massive burden had just been lifted. She managed a trembling smile, tears threatening to escape the corners of her eyes. Emily, voice shaking with gratitude, "Thank you, Mr. Lucas. This means more to me than you know. I'm willing to do anything. Just please let me show you that I can work hard." Henry, nodding, "All right then. Come by tomorrow morning. You'll meet my wife, Olivia, and we'll figure out a schedule that works for everyone." That night, as Henry drove home, he felt content. In his mind, he had made the right decision. Perhaps this was one more person he could help to get back on her feet. Little did he know that Emily had her own hidden motives. She was far from the desperate, innocent soul she portrayed. On Emily's first day at the Lucas mansion, she arrived bright and early, wearing a modest dress. She clutched her small bag tightly, her demeanor exuding a mixture of eagerness and nervousness. Olivia greeted her at the door. While Olivia was usually kind to anyone entering their home, she sensed Emily was a bit timid. To ease her nerves, she gave Emily a gentle tour of the main rooms, spacious living room, the elegant dining room, the large kitchen, and finally, introduced her to the other household staff. "Olivia, friendly but businesslike, we're happy to have you with us, Emily. These are our housekeepers, Miriam and Teresa. They can show you the cleaning schedule and help you get settled. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask." Emily, bowing her head slightly, "Thank you, Mrs. Lucas. I appreciate the opportunity." Deep inside, Emily's heart was beating quickly, but not out of gratitude alone. She was already calculating how best to infiltrate this home, how to gain Henry's trust so completely that his marriage would be under threat. She had plans to secure her own future, believing the only way to do so was to latch onto a man with wealth and status like Henry. Destroying his marriage was simply a necessary step in her mind, one that she told herself was fair because the wealthy rarely paid attention to the struggles of the less fortunate. However, she failed to see the irony that Henry was among the most compassionate of them all. During her first few days, Emily observed everything. She noted where Olivia kept her favorite dresses. She took mental pictures of the expensive creams and skincare products in Olivia's bathroom. She learned the daily schedules of everyone in the house. Usually, Henry left early for the office and returned in the evenings, while Olivia sometimes worked from home but also had meetings outside. Ethan and Lily were at school during weekdays, coming home in the afternoon with enough time for snacks and homework. The sabotage began subtly. Emily waited until she was alone in Olivia's dressing room. Quietly, she slipped a pair of Olivia's favorite shoes into a bucket of water, soaking them just enough to warp the leather. She also took a small sewing needle and carefully made tiny tears in the seams of Olivia's most cherished dresses. Later that evening, when Olivia dressed for an event, she noticed the tear in her dress. She was baffled because she was typically very careful with her belongings. Olivia, frustrated, "I don't understand, Henry. I wore this dress a couple of weeks ago, and it was perfectly fine. Now, there's a rip in it, and some strange stain on the fabric." Henry, puzzled, "That's odd. Are you sure the kids didn't come in here trying to play dress-up? Lily loves to rummage around sometimes." Olivia, shaking her head slowly, "No, Lily's never been allowed in here unsupervised, and I doubt she'd do this kind of damage." Although Olivia found it suspicious, she decided not to accuse Emily or anyone else without solid proof. After all, It could have been a freak accident or something that happened at the cleaners. She tried to put out of her mind, but she stayed on alert. Emily didn't stop there. She moved on to Olivia's skincare products, expensive lotions and serums that Olivia valued as part of her nightly routine. Emily replaced some of the contents with cheaper alternatives or watered them down, ensuring that Olivia would notice a difference in texture and smell. Over time, Olivia's skin started reacting negatively to these products, causing her face to break out in mild rashes. Olivia, worried, touching her cheek, "Henry, I need to see a dermatologist. My skin feels irritated and I don't know why. These products have always worked fine before." Henry, concerned, "That's strange. Did the formula change? Or maybe you got a bad batch?" Olivia, sighing, "I don't know. I'll ask the store where I bought them. But this is just so strange. Everything in the house seems to be falling apart." Emily took pleasure in seeing Olivia flustered, yet she still had bigger goals in mind. Sabotaging Olivia was one layer of her plan, but the main objective was to worm her way into Henry's heart. So, she tried flirting, wearing outfits just a bit too revealing for a house cleaner, making sure to bend over in front of him as if she was picking something up, or lightly brushing her hand against his when she handed him a glass of water. She crafted scenarios so that she would encounter him in the hallway or near his office at home, always with an apologetic giggle. Emily, smiling coyly, "Oh, Mr. Lucas, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were coming this way. Let me just get out of your way." Henry, ever polite, would simply step aside, nod, and continue. At first, he thought nothing of it. He was used to staff being courteous, and he simply attributed Emily's awkward behavior to her being young and perhaps shy. But the more Emily tried, the more uneasy Henry felt. He couldn't quite place his finger on it, but there was a nagging feeling that something was off. Henry, confiding in Olivia one night, "I'm not sure what's going on, Liv. Emily keeps, I don't know. She just appears out of nowhere sometimes. She stands a bit too close or touches my arm when she talks. It feels like she's crossing a boundary." Olivia, thoughtful, "Do you think she might just be clumsy or overly grateful? Sometimes people don't realize personal space." Henry, shrugging, "Maybe. I just have this weird feeling. But I have no proof of any wrongdoing." They decided to remain watchful, but neither suspected the extent of Emily's real intentions. Emily soon realized that subtle flirtations alone weren't going to make Henry fall for her. Whenever she smiled at him seductively, he simply offered a polite nod and then returned to work or conversation with Olivia. He was a devoted husband, loyal to the woman who had shared his life for over a decade. Emily began to feel desperate. She knew she needed something bigger and more dangerous to tear them apart. Days turned into weeks, and Emily's frustrations grew. She saw no cracks in Henry and Olivia's marriage that she could exploit simply through flirtation. Her sabotage had rattled Olivia, but it had not driven a wedge between husband and wife. In fact, Henry and Olivia only seemed more supportive of each other. Emily realized she needed a drastic plan, one that would make Henry believe he had betrayed his marriage, even if only in appearance. Late one evening, Emily was in the kitchen, cleaning up after dinner. She had volunteered to stay back to handle the dishes, insisting that the other staff go to bed early. When she was certain she was alone, she carefully took out a small vial containing a strong sedative that she had obtained illegally. She tested it by mixing a tiny drop into a glass of water, just to be sure it dissolved without leaving a noticeable taste or color. Satisfied with the result, she cleaned the glass thoroughly, disposing of the liquid in the sink. Her plan was simple yet malicious. Spike Henry's drink so that he would lose consciousness long enough for her to stage a compromising scene. Then she would claim that she and Henry had slept together, eventually announcing a fake pregnancy to tie him to her forever. She believed that if Olivia heard that Emily was carrying Henry's child, their marriage would come crashing down. And since Henry was a man of honor, he would probably offer financial support, or even leave his marriage out of guilt, she fantasized. The following evening, Henry had once again stayed at the office later than usual to finalize project details. Emily kept tabs on him by discreetly asking staff when he was expected home. She knew that on nights like these, Henry often returned exhausted and headed straight for his bedroom with a glass of water or juice. As soon as Henry arrived, Emily was ready. She had prepared a refreshing glass of fruit juice, laced with a sedative. She positioned herself near the staircase leading up to the bedrooms. The moment Henry entered through the front door, loosening his tie, Emily intercepted him, wearing a robe that was slightly open at the collar. Emily, smiling sweetly, "Good evening, Mr. Lucas. You look tired. I made this for you so you can unwind." Henry, eyebrows raised, "That's kind of you, Emily." "Thank you, but I'm fine, really." Emily, insisting, "Please, I insist. It's a special blend of tropical fruits. I promise it'll help you relax." He took the glass from her, though he felt a nagging discomfort in the back of his mind. Perhaps it was the way Emily's robe was slipping down her shoulder, or the way her eyes lingered on him, but Henry tried to dismiss the feeling. He took a sip, nodding politely. Henry, smiling faintly, "Thank you, that does taste good. Have a good night, Emily." He made his way to his bedroom, feeling a bit lightheaded. Initially, he attributed the sensation to sheer fatigue. Meanwhile, Emily quickly followed at a distance, waiting until he disappeared behind his bedroom door. She remained in the hallway, mentally counting the seconds until the sedative would take effect. After a couple of minutes, she carefully turned the doorknob and slipped inside Henry's room. Henry was sitting on the edge of the bed, rubbing his temples. He had kicked off his shoes and was trying to gather enough energy to change into his pajamas. Emily approached him quietly, her voice low. "Emily, softly. Henry, you seem like you're not feeling well. Let me help you." Henry, groggy. "Emily, what are you doing in here? You shouldn't. This is not appropriate." Before he could gather his thoughts, his body grew heavier and his head lolled to the side. The sedative was taking hold faster than he could comprehend. Emily smirked, gently pushing him back onto the bed. She whispered to herself, "Emily," under her breath, "finally, you're mine." She started unbuttoning his shirt, determined to create the appearance that they had shared an intimate encounter. In her twisted mind, she was already planning the tears she would shed and the story she would tell Olivia, and perhaps the rest of the city, about how Henry had taken advantage of her innocence. But fate had other plans. Weeks earlier, Henry and Olivia had decided to install a new security system throughout their mansion after a string of burglaries in the neighborhood. This included hidden CCTV cameras in key rooms, including Henry's bedroom and the kitchen. Olivia had suggested it to ensure the safety of their family, especially the children. The cameras were discreet, and nobody but the immediate family and their trusted security chief knew of their exact positions. As Emily hovered over Henry, the security officer on duty in the mansion's control room noticed something suspicious on the monitor. He saw Emily enter Henry's bedroom when she had no business being there at such a late hour. Moreover, her actions seemed bizarre and invasive. The security officer promptly alerted Olivia, who was in another wing of the house, finishing some paperwork. "Security officer," over the radio, "Mrs. Lucas, we have an unusual situation in Mr. Lucas's bedroom. Emily is there, and it appears Mr. Lucas is unconscious. You need to see this." Alarmed, Olivia rushed to the security room. The moment she saw the footage of Emily trying to undress Henry, she felt her heart race. She didn't hesitate. "Olivia, urgent, get your team and follow me. We're going to stop this now." Within minutes, Olivia, accompanied by 2 security personnel, burst into the bedroom. Emily, startled, whirled around, clutching Henry's half-unbuttoned shirt. For a second, she froze in shock, her eyes darting like a trapped animal. Olivia, furious, "Emily, what do you think you're doing?" Emily tried to stammer out a reply, her mind spinning with half-formed excuses. She glanced at Henry, who was groaning softly, still heavily sedated, but beginning to stir at the commotion. Just then, one of the security officers spotted the half-empty glass on the bedside table. He picked it up and sniffed the contents. "Security officer, there's something in this drink. It doesn't smell like regular juice." Realizing she was cornered, Emily tried to play innocent. "Emily," voice trembling, "I don't know what you're talking about. I just came in to help him. He said he felt dizzy and asked me." Olivia, cutting her off, "Stop lying. I saw the footage. We all did. Get away from my husband. Emily found herself at a loss, her carefully constructed scenario crumbling before it could even start. She stepped back, eyes wild, scanning the room for a route to flee. The security officers, however, blocked her path. Henry, barely conscious, forced his eyes open, trying to piece together the situation. He recognized Olivia's voice, the anxious faces of the security officers, and then Emily, who stood there looking guilty and terrified. Despite his foggy state, he instinctively reached for Olivia's hand. Henry slurred Olivia. I don't understand. What is she? Olivia, firmly, anger giving way to relief at seeing him okay. It's all right, Henry. Just rest. We've caught Emily in the act. The next morning, Henry woke up with a pounding headache, but more clarity than the night before. Olivia had stayed by his side after the security team had escorted Emily to a locked room where she was guarded until the police arrived. Henry's first question was about what truly happened. Olivia and the security officer showed him the CCTV footage from the bedroom and kitchen, which displayed every step of Emily's plan, from spiking his drink in the kitchen to creeping into his bedroom to undressing him while he was unconscious. Henry stared at the footage, a cold wave of anger sweeping over him. Emily, the young woman he had tried to help, had repaid him by plotting to ruin his marriage and potentially destroy his reputation. Despite his own dismay, he worried about Olivia's feelings. Henry, turning to Olivia, I'm so sorry you had to witness all this. I swear I had no idea she was capable of something like this. I just wanted to help someone who seemed desperate. Olivia, though hurt, could see that Henry was a victim here. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Olivia, softly, I know Henry, and I don't blame you. We both believe she needed help. None of us suspected she had such cruel intentions. Shortly after, the police arrived. 2 officers interviewed Henry and Olivia, asking them to recount the events of the previous night. The security team handed over the CCTV footage as evidence. Emily, who had been held under watch, was formally arrested. She tried to protest, hurling accusations. Emily, shouting at the officers, they're framing me. I swear, I didn't do anything wrong. Mr. Lucas and he wanted me here, but her words fell flat in the face of the video evidence. The officers led her away in handcuffs, charging her with attempted assault, malicious intent, and whatever charges were applicable for drugging Henry without his consent. Word of the incident spread quickly, as it often does in social circles that revolve around wealthy families. Some tabloids tried to spin sensational stories, but Henry and Olivia decided to confront the situation head-on. They held a short press conference on the grounds of one of the community centers Henry had helped build. Reporters gathered, microphones lined up in front of them. Henry stepped forward, face composed, though traces of stress lined his features. Henry, addressing the press, ladies and gentlemen of the media, I've called you here to clarify an incident that took place in my home recently. A woman I employed as a cleaner attempted to harm me by drugging my drink. Thanks to our security system and the quick actions of our staff, nothing worse occurred. I want to emphasize that we are cooperating fully with the authorities, and justice will follow its proper course. A reporter raised a hand. Reporter, Mr. Lucas, do you have any message for people who might be in similar situations or for employers who try to help those in need? Henry gave a small nod, considering his words carefully. Henry, yes, I do. Kindness should never be a weakness. We must continue helping those who truly need it. However, it's crucial to maintain a sense of caution and carry out proper background checks where possible. Not everyone who appears in need has good intentions, though many do. What happened to me is unfortunate, but it won't stop my commitment to philanthropic endeavors. I only hope this serves as a reminder to be vigilant. Olivia then spoke, her voice calm yet firm. Olivia, this incident has been difficult for our family, but we stand united. My husband and I remain devoted to each other and to the causes we believe in. We want everyone to remember that one bad experience shouldn't overshadow the real good that can be done when people help one another. In the days following, Henry and Olivia worked on regaining a sense of normalcy for Ethan and Lily. They didn't want their children to be overly frightened or confused, so they explained the incident in gentle terms. They assured the kids that they were safe, that the security measures in the house were to protect them all, and that Emily was gone. Ethan, wide-eyed, but why would she do that to you, Dad? You were trying to help. Henry, kneeling to meet his son's eye level sometimes. Ethan, people let their own fears or wants push them to do bad things. It's not something we can always predict. But remember, it's never wrong to help others. You just have to be a bit careful. Lily, clutching her mother's hand, will she go to jail? Olivia, softly, yes, sweetheart, she'll be taken care of by the law, and we'll be all right. For Henry and Olivia, the days that followed were a mixture of relief and introspection. Henry found himself wondering whether he had missed any warning signs. Olivia reassured him that he had simply been acting out of compassion, and no one could have known Emily's true character right away. The mansion felt a bit different. Some staff members were deeply shaken and even felt guilty they hadn't noticed Emily's manipulations earlier. However, Henry made it a point to speak with each of them, expressing his gratitude for their loyalty and help. Gradually, the Lucas family's routine returned to normal. Olivia resumed her design consultations, and Henry continued his projects. Meanwhile, the media shifted their attention to other headlines, though a few continued to print updates on Emily's arrest. Henry made one final public statement, not at a press conference, but in a blog post tied to one of his charity initiatives. To everyone who has followed the unfortunate incident in my home, I want to reiterate that our family is safe and well. I remain dedicated to using my resources to make a positive impact. There's a lesson here. Be generous, but also be wise. Thank you all for your support. In truth, Henry and Olivia felt their bond grow stronger after experiencing such a betrayal. They were more cautious, yes, but they also realized how deeply they trusted and cared for one another. Olivia, in particular, felt proud of Henry for not letting the incident sour his willingness to help those in need. While they reinforced their background checks for any new employees, they also refused to let one person's manipulation turn them cynical. Their children, who had briefly been frightened by the turn of events, also began to see their parents in an even more heroic light. Ethan would brag to his friends about his father, calling him a brave man who stood firm against bad people. Lily drew a beautiful picture of their family standing tall in front of their house, showing Henry, Olivia, Ethan, Lily, and a heart overhead signifying unity and love. And so the Lucas household entered a new chapter, a chapter defined not by betrayal and malice, but by resilience and a strengthened commitment to do good. Emily's plan had failed, and in failing, it had only highlighted the integrity that held the Lucas family together. They emerged from the ordeal stronger than ever, a testament to the fact that true love and honesty can triumph over deception. In the end, the price of betrayal was not paid by Henry or Olivia. It was paid by Emily, who, in her misguided pursuit of comfort and security through unethical means, lost her freedom and any hope of garnering genuine sympathy. As Henry often said afterward, it was a stark lesson that betrayal might promise riches and advantage in the short term, but it carries an unavoidable cost in the long term, one that is seldom worth paying. The home settled back into its familiar rhythm. Henry, Olivia, and the children shared breakfast in the mornings and dinner in the evenings whenever possible. They laughed, teased one another, and recounted their day's adventures, whether it was a minor victory in the boardroom or a new piece of artwork Lily created at school. Through it all, they remembered the power of trust, the importance of caution, and above all, the unbreakable bond of family love that not even the most cunning schemes could destroy. The end.